Dear students, the first change is the organizational change. So we need to know about what organizational changes are impacting on recruitment and selection procedures. Let's start with something more dramatic and interesting fact given by Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker has predicted that to be competitive in the future, organization will need to achieve 3 times the productivity with only 1/3 the number of people. Means organizations have to keep less number of people and they need to improve their productivity. 3 times productivity with 1/3 number of people. It means that you have to focus on less number of people. You need to hire fewer people, pay them more and doing more. Why we need to pay them more? Because they feel more motivated. And if they would feel more motivated, they will do more work. So fewer people, pay more and get maximum work out of them. It would help you to increase your efficiency in the work. That's what the organization need to do in the future. Why the organization need to do such kind of things in future? Because they have a pressure. There is enormous pressure to the organization. Organizations able to operate globally and locally as well in order to exploit advantages of economies of scales and access to cheap labor. So there is a concept of economies of scale that you have to use less labor and produce more. So that is a very important concept. By using cheap labor, you have to get more production and that will lead to the economies of scale and obviously more profitability and more productivity in the organization and more sustainability and more sustained competitive advantages to the organization. This is very important concept that organizational changes are impacting on recruitment and selection of the people in the organization. The upshot of all this is that organizations are under pressure. How they are under pressure? We have to name 3 concepts. First, they have to identify their core businesses. If organizations can identify their core businesses, they have to work on the core businesses and then they have to outsource whatever is left. So identification of the core businesses and focus on the core businesses is very important if you want to get more benefits from the recruitment and selection procedures. Number 2, organize themselves around key processes rather than departments. Not focus on the departments, not divide your work into the departments, but you have to focus more on the key processes. And then key processes need to be handled by different departments. The focus should not be on departments, the focus should be on the processes and the key processes. So that is very important in organizational changes. And number 3 concept is very interesting. That is the delayering. Delayering of the organizational structure, flattening of organizational structure, and downsizing of the workforce. So if you would delayer, if you would flatten and downsize, obviously you can get more out of it. It means the constant pressures to cut cost. So you have to cut cost, but along with cutting of cost, you need to be more creative. If you would not be more creative, it would be a trouble. And you have to do more with fewer resources. Resources, obviously here, I mean resources means human resources. That you have to be creative, you have to cut cost, you have to use human resources, fewer human resources. Certainly that would help you to improve your efficiency. To get more efficiency, you have to cut resources, you have to cut costs, you have to minimize resources, and you have to be more creative. But there is a feeling that some organizations have lost valuable experience and expertise. If you would get more people, if you would go for downsizing and delayering, you may lost valuable experience and expertise within your organization. And then people remaining, and also called as the layoff survivors, they are overstretched. So overstretching is good, but if layoff survivors need to be overstretched, it may lead to poor efficiency and effectiveness. So along with efficiency, along with the fewer resources and getting more out of it, you also need to focus on the quality. You also need to focus on the effectiveness of your processes and procedures in the organization. So these organizational changes may impact your recruitment and selection procedures in the context of organizations.